Great. Welcome, everyone. We'll go ahead and get started and leave time for the presentation. I am Tori Leuthold. I'm the VP of Outreach. Super excited to have you all, and thank you for your interest in our final Friday Forum of the year. Before we get to the content, I just want to go over a couple things. Big thank you to all of our benefactors of 2023. Without their support, we're not able to do anything that we do as a chapter. Just a heads up, if you are interested in becoming a benefactor for the upcoming year, the benefactor package is live. So feel free to reach out to Bethany Williams, our VP of Benefactors, if you're interested or have any questions in that. As we wrap up the year, there's a couple more events. There's a AI and ID roundtable in Cleveland on November 28th. And then on November 30th, there's a Columbus Design Expo and CEU event. So if you're in those cities, check those out. So we do 2 Friday forums a year typically. This is an education service we offer to our members. This Friday forum, we're doing it a bit different and looping it in with our Enrich membership fund, which if you're not aware, it's a great benefit we offer to our membership. And I'll let Kristen Mara give you a bit more information about that before we get started.
Sure. Thanks, Tori. So yeah, as she introduced, this is kind of our give back for our Enrich program. So if you're not familiar with our Enrich program, it's a grant opportunity for our members for financial support. You can kind of apply. It's a very broad spectrum. So things, as long as they focus on education, knowledge, and research. It could be conferences, it could be coursework, could be research. So it's kind of an open opportunity for our members to receive a little bit of funding. So this runs every year towards late summer, early fall. The application's open. So be thinking about what you could apply for. And then as part of that, we do require that, once you receive your grant and you complete your activity, you give back to the chapter so we can all benefit from what you learned. So that's why we're here today with Rebekah. Rebekah received funding for this course that she's going to kind of give us insight on and tell us all about. Thanks.
Thank you, Kristen. The program that Rebekah received funding for was a design futuring course provided by the Institute for the Future. So this Friday forum will be pretty interactive. We're going to do some exercises around design futuring. We're all going to be involved in a Miro board. So check out the chat for the link for the Miro board, which you'll want to check out now. Make sure you have access to that. The course is also 1 IDCEC credit. So at the end, we'll have a QR code displayed. In order to use the QR code, you will have to use the IDCEC app. So if you don't have that, get that downloaded before the end of the presentation. So our speaker today is Rebekah Matheny. She is an associate professor at The Ohio State University, as many of you probably know. She has a background in sustainable design, which she applies to her curriculum and educates others through TED Talks and many other speaking engagements. She continues to advocate for the profession of interior design in everything she does. And she's become such a staple for our chapter. So we're super lucky to have her today. Welcome, Rebekah.
Thank you so much. I'm thrilled to be here. Great to see so many familiar faces and hopefully some new people as well. And I'm really thrilled and gracious for receiving the first Enrich grant. And I'm thrilled to share out the learnings and get you involved with it as well. So I'm going to start by sharing my screen if we're all good to go, Tori. Yeah. Okay,
Yep.
Great. Okay. And Tori, let me know if we don't end up in the same situation. You can just see the Adobe page, correct?
We're good.
Okay, fantastic. Okay, so today what we're going to do is we're going to be talking about design futuring. And as mentioned, my grant funding supported the attendance of the Institute for the Futures Design Futuring Workshop. It's actually more of a class because we'll get into that. And so what is that for us as interior designers? I think that's really interesting because as I attended this class, we had roughly 38 people, but they were from around the world, from Australia to Qatar to London, South America. It was a really interesting, diverse population globally. And so that comes into play. But also, the other thing that was really fascinating was that not everybody came from a design background. In fact, not even half of the people. So I think what we're going to talk about today is why design futuring is relevant to us as interior designers, and how creating interactions with the future will help us be better designers and more sustainable designers for the world today with that future mindset. So, for our IDCEC, we have 4 learning objectives. We're going to leverage design theory. So there's going to be a little introduction with that and the foresight methods and tools. We're going to analyze possible futures with our interactive workshop, and create interactions with the future through that as well. And that'll all be done by applying these learnings in an emerging topic relevant to interior design and us. We're going to start off with this overview, then we're going to go into a breakout. You'll be automatically assigned, Bethany will assign you to a breakout room. That's what the Miro board is for. And there's 2 breakout sessions, as you can see. We're going to reconvene in between so I can introduce the second breakout exercise. And then we'll have some time to share up and ask questions. So again, the Miro board link is in the comments. If you can go to that, that'll help you get started. So as we all know, we're coming off of the pandemic. It's been a few years, but the remnants and impact of the pandemic are impacting us greatly today. And so the pandemic has really reminded us just how quickly the world can change for the better or for the worse. And it's an opportunity for us to learn and improve and make a better future. So dealing with these extreme uncertainties isn't just a reality, it's a new way of life, especially with emerging technologies constantly changing how we behave. So as designers, we can begin to anticipate, because we're already equipped, and we're going to talk about that. We're already equipped to be able to anticipate and prepare for the challenges ahead. When we design spaces, we have that future in mind, whether it's a library that's going to stand for 100+ years, or whether it's a healthcare facility that has longevity, even if it's a retail space that has maybe a 5 or 10 year, or workplace space of 5 or 10 years, we still have to think about time. And so that's really what futuring exercises do. It allows us to bring these tools into our design process and think about time so that we can prepare for those challenges ahead and build a more sustainable world today. And so I'm just showing 3 images at the bottom here. These were some AI generated images that I created for the workshop to accompany some of the tools that we did. So why is futuring relevant to the practice of interior design in particular? That's what we all come from, that background. And why are we already equipped to bring futuring into our process? I think most people are somewhat familiar with the buzzword design thinking. We as interior designers are design thinkers. And I think sometimes when I talk to interior designers, they don't make that connection. Design thinking often is relegated for product design or UX design or something different. But interior designers are design thinkers. We go through these 5 phases of design thinking on the regular. We start with empathize. And I think this is something that we as interior designers are really ingrained with. It may even be what sets us apart from architects in some ways. And I'll quote Hank Hildebrandt, who, when I was trying to decide which school to go to, architecture or interior design at UC, he said that architecture is the sculpture and the landscape, but interior designers hold the hand of the user and walk them through the unraveling journey of the interior experience. And to me, that is what the empathize is, but it goes even further. Interior designers reframe the problem that we are solving for in a human-centric way. This is where we, as researchers, utilize the understanding of our user group, our end users and our stakeholders and their needs, and develop personas maybe to keep people at the center of our design process. Design research and evidence-based design has become increasingly important to clients, and that really happens in this empathize phase. The next phase of define is where we are define our core problem. And this becomes really important in the futuring phase and how the tools that we're going to talk about today play in. And it might not be that this phase, when we define the problem, it might not be the exact problem the client comes to us with. So what we do is, utilizing the empathize and design research phase, we create that human-centered approach, and we begin to identify the opportunities and define the core problem. And that might be because we have a different insight or a different perspective than the client does themselves. Ideate, of course, this is the area where we challenge assumptions, be that programmatic criteria or space utilization, space flexibility or transformation, and we create multiple ideas, space, adjacency layout, space plans, et cetera, and maybe even render various material options. And we can test in the ideate phase too, and re-engage the empathize and our users in this phase. And then, of course, prototyping. For us, this is actually building the design. And I think, again, this is where oftentimes when design thinking, these 5 phases pop up, interior designers see, oh, okay, prototype, that's more like an industrial design thing, or ideation, that's more of an industrial design thing. But it is what we do. We just prototype at a different scale. We prototype by building buildings, and then we learn from that building. And many of us are working in healthcare or education or workplace sectors. So we learn from every project, and it becomes accumulation of knowledge that we bring with us. So every built project is a prototype. And then testing, this is where we can use the evaluation process of our design. And more award programs nationally and internationally are looking for measurable impacts. What are the measurable outcomes of our projects? Maybe you've heard of post-occupancy evaluation, but there are other ways to do that as well. So that is all to say that these 5 phases are relevant to us because we are thinkers. And you've maybe seen this diagram where we're really referring to the fuzzy front end of these phases. And so if we think about how these 5 phases fit into our traditional interior design process, that fuzzy front end is design futuring. This is where we can apply those tools that I'm going to introduce today to help us expand our ability to empathize with the user group, further define a more future-proof problem, and then ideate solutions that have the future in mind. So that's why I wanted to attend the Foresight Essentials and the Institute for the Future Design Thinking, or Design Futures class. The class was set up with 5 classes. We met all day for 5 days in May, and we went through 4 phases of Design Futures Toolkit, and I'm going to show you what that is. And I'm trying to be cautious of time here too. So the first phase is prepare. And in the prepare section, this allows us to begin the design process and consider possible futures. So we have to prepare our mind first. So it's about, again, thinking that mindset and uncovering early signals and dynamics that are changing and transforming the world around us. We know that we don't design in a vacuum. And so if we are thinking about the pandemic and how it's changed things, or how emerging technology is changing things, how maybe social norms or cultural norms, regional areas are impacting us. So this is where we really start to prepare our mind and explore these ideas. There were 2 tools introduced to us. One is the cat's cradle, which is what we're going to be doing today. And then the next one is cataloging signals of change. And this allows us to look at different priorities and impact levels of different types of these 5 categories. The next phase was explore. And so in the explore phase, again, 2 more tools. So you can imagine that the day was split up in half. We worked on 1 tool in the morning and 1 tool in the afternoon of each of the days. And the explore section is the second step to design the future. And it allows us to have a more broad context of the fundamental systems in which our future is being placed. So again, allowing us to expand the boundaries and our minds beyond just the project and the end users, our specific location, but it's almost like asking us to be anthropologists and allowing us to think about what we're going to leave behind today into the future and what we might uncover. So it's almost like an excavation exercise. And we're going to do the second one, building a future world today. The next is experience. And unfortunately, we're not going to be able to get to these last two phases because obviously we're short on time. But the experience phase allows us to create scenario and be able to be storytellers. So it allows us to create a story, a scene, allow us to put people in that scene, apply those personas, and really work through that journey narrative in the create a scene exercise. And then the second one is creating artifacts that people might have discovered in that scene. So the AI images you saw earlier were artifacts from the scene that my team had developed. And then the last is execute. And in this one, it's really about creating that future offering. So applying everything in the three previous phases to allow us to create that new project and also the offering that we might have. So when I say offering, it might be a specific space for us, or it might be the inclusion of a specific service within our space. It might be a specific way of navigating or a new way of behaving. So again, these tools are really to allow us to break outside of our box and think differently in order to create a better, more future-proof scenario. The design the future, and some of these tools I've actually already implemented into my class. So again, thanks for the grant, because it's allowed me to bring some of these tools directly into the classroom. The Design Your Project in particular is a really been positive one that's been received. So what are we going to do? I think we're on time. So futuring topic for today is going to be the workplace. And what we are going to do is use the Miro board. And I love that just a day ago, Cheryl posted on Instagram this quote that we are seeing workplace interior designers focus strongly on experiential design, creating not just a place for focused work or collaboration, but true experiences that use technology to offer customization and adaptability. And so I think that's what she's saying we are on the cusp of and is emerging today. So when we go into the next exercise that we're going to work on, we're going to be thinking about the workplace of the future, thinking about this context Cheryl said about today that's bubbling up, but jumping 20 years down the line and seeing where we're going to be beyond what Cheryl has just said. So in this toolkit, we're going to use the cat's cradle. Why do we use this tool? It allows us to identify and analyze multiple dimensions of the future. It allows us to seek out influences from today and the past that are shaping and developing the speed for which that trajectory is going to happen. So is it going to be something that's going to happen overnight? Is it something that's going to take 5 years to do? Or is it something that actually takes a lot of policy changes and going to take us, 10 years to do? So with this, we're going to uncover our own biases as well and blind spots and visualize and play with balances. So for the sake of time, I'm going to kind of skip over this, but what we're going to do is go into the Miro board and you're going to be looking at the pool of the future. So here's the pool. You are going to see this in the Miro board. You're going to look at the pool of the future, the push of the present, and the weight of the past for our topic of the future of workplace. So for the future of workplace, where are we today? I find that that's often the best place to start because it's easy to refer back to Cheryl's quote and really kind of think about what has happened post the pandemic. And then there is always the past that influences us as well. So we want to document that. And then we're going to go into the pool of the future. So Bethany, I think if you can open up the breakout rooms, I will go to the next slide. This is just an example. So this is what your board might look like. Our topic for the class was climate migration. So we were looking at what climate migration would do to influence the future and what those scenarios might mean. Moving to Mars, water wars, global solidarity. Like, again, think about the topics on a really broad range. And so we're going to go to the Miro board and break out. And Bethany is going to assign you And I'm going to stop sharing for a second. She's going to assign you to a breakout room, and you can head there. And whatever breakout room number you are assigned to, that's the page you're going to go to. You're going to see 25 boards for Cat's Cradle, and you're going to go to, if you were assigned to breakout room 1, you're going to go to board 1 to use that. And then we'll come back in 10 minutes.
Looks like everyone's in their groups now.
Fantastic. I was just quickly letting the dog out.
Oh.
Keeping track of time.
Oh, I wasn't. I think we still have like 7 minutes.
Okay, great.
Yeah, it was 23.
Okay.
I just sent a message to remind them about like using, because a lot of them like started dipping out when you were describing what to do in the mirror board, but to like
Okay.
use the number
Yep.
tied to their group. So hopefully they're picking up on that.
I'm in the mirror board too, and I can kind of see people
Okay,
in there.
great.
I don't see a ton of people in there.
I
Yeah.
see a lot. Yeah.
Okay.
I
Oh
do
yeah,
too.
they're moving around.
We do
Oh,
have
and it
some
might
people
be,
on like iPads and iPhones too. So
yeah, and it might be that we have one person in each team that is the person in charge of the board. Some pages I see have like 2 or 3 people, but some pages just have one person filling things in. But I am seeing a lot of activity, which is great.
Yeah, there's a lot of movement.
Yeah. So that's good. I'm glad. I mean, not all the pages have stuff happening on them, but that's okay. Some people might just still be talking, and it's sometimes hard. Was the introduction, I know you're still recording, so now you're recording all of our conversation, but was the intro okay?
Yeah, it was good. Um, I feel like people got a little scared of it being an interactive, like they always do. Some people dropped off when we said
We
the
said
breakout group thing. Yeah. We ended up with 12 groups.
okay,
That's probably why you don't see activity on all of them.
got it. And how many people are in each group?
Like
Between 4 to
4.
5.
Okay, good. Should we admit Michelle from the waiting room?
Trying to figure out if we should.
I just added Rita and I threw her in a room quick, so I will do the same for her.
Oh, perfect.
Hi, Michelle. I'm going to throw you into a breakout group right now. We're in breakout groups, just so you know you're heading over there. Oh, she's off. There we go.
Okay. Yeah, I see stuff on like all 12 boards.
Yay.
At first, the first page, group 1 didn't have any, but now there's tons. Oops.
This is comical to see everyone's little. I'm gonna
I
get
know.
because
Is
it's
this
funny
the
to
first
see
time
like
you've done something like that before?
with this many people. Like I've done Miro,
Yeah.
but never with like all these people at once. It's funny.
Isn't it?
Like live and in action. Ohio, Kentucky, here we are.
That's right. The future is now. I know it's like, I wish I could dive into each of the tools further and give a more in-depth discussion, but obviously for sake of time, we just can't. Sure. But hopefully, you know, if there's another opportunity or something, I'd be happy to actually run a workshop or do something more and give back more if we can.
Yeah, it seems like they obviously got enough because they're able to do the activity as planned.
Mm-hmm. It is funny to scroll through like and see who left and who stayed because it's all in the.
Well, do we typically have that when it says like who left and joined? Just so obvious now.
I think that's new. I don't remember them doing that before. All right, I'm gonna give them a 5-minute or no, 3-minute warning.
Also, shh. Come here. Come here. Come here and be calm. Come here.
All right, I gave them their 1-minute warning. And at 33, I'll flip it back over.
I feel like I just sped through the
Figure there's always that adjust time between people leaving the breakout room, coming into the breakout room, back and forth. So I tried to shorten even what I had to say because of that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I tried to give you time by like really speeding through the beginning. I hope I wasn't like too fast.
Oh, no, you were great.
All right, sending them back our way.
So Bethany, on the next one, you're going to want to, instead of assigning them, tell them to choose the room that they were in before. Since
Got
you've
it.
closed the room.
I know I couldn't get
then-
them to come back without closing.
No, I get that. So then you're going to want to just open up the same number of rooms and then tell them to go choose the room that they were in before.
Okay, we can do that. Must be some good conversations. They're using all final seconds here.
Yeah. And you can see the PowerPoint now, right?
Yes,
Yep.
you're good.
Okay, great. All right. Welcome back, everyone. I was watching everyone in the Miro board, and I think it's so fascinating just to see this many people engaged and active on the pages. It looked like you were having some really great conversation and really diving into the topic. So I'm really thrilled to go back and look at everything afterwards. So we're going to move into the Explore tool. And this tool is, again, this is really high level, and I know if we had more time, we could dive into these more deeply. The Miro board is going to stay up and active, so you and your teammates are welcome to come back and add more to it. You're able to take photo or capture the screen, or look at everybody else's comments too later on after this session. But as you can imagine, in the actual class, we spent a couple hours working on each of these tools in our groups. So we're going to jump now just to give us an overview on the next section of the project called Explore. And this one, we're going to explore building a future world. And this allows us to examine the complexities and the systematic implications that change has across multiple different types of domains and dimensions. And it allows us to really dive in and describe the nuanced vision of the world of the future that we want to have in the scenario that we're starting to create. And it allows us to investigate a setting and uncover, issues, opportunities, hiccups, hurdles, things that we want to overcome in order to get to that place. So oftentimes, even in the studio I'm teaching right now, we do journey narratives where we ask people to reflect on the pain points and hurdles that they're encountering, and that allows us to identify the opportunities. So if we go back to the design thinking process, this allows us to help us describe the problem more specifically and not just go at the problem or tackle the problem on the surface value that the client comes to us with, but instead really think in a more holistic, complex, systematic approach to the problem solving and problem identification. So how this is going to work is that you're going to choose the topic, which we've already done with the exploration, and you're going to look at the Build the Future page, which is in the next section. So you're going to return to your same number board. If you were in breakout room 1, you're going to go to board 1 in this new set. And the future world of workplace. And then in this scenario, you're going to choose within your team the year. So this could be 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, whichever time frame into the future you want to explore. And that allows us, when we look at all of everybody's boards, we're going to be able to see how that time frame impacts these ideas in this future piece. So obviously work is already part of this. So our workplace is at the center. So we need to define work, but it's going to affect workplace. And then we're going to be thinking about business models and businesses in general and how they're working and capitalism and the different ways in which companies are going to operate. Crime is what's listed on this page. You are welcome to change any of these if you want. Just make a note of how you've changed them. But this category is really impacting us on a social level. So where are we located in this scenario? What are the implications of that area that's going to influence us? Governance, again, you can think about this from a local to a national to a global. Again, we're thinking really outside the box. So it might be that the future of workplace is boundaryless, it's countryless. And so governance might be a new form of global governance rather than regulations at a local standpoint. Climate, this is environmental aspect. So are there factors of the planet that are, again, this is their tool. And if you want to rephrase the title, you certainly can. The Institute for the Future does it in these vocabulary, but for us in particular, and even in my class, I've already started adjusting the words based on the scenario or the class assignment. So this, to me, climate is going to be planetary environmental impact to things. And then you have a space to choose whichever other thing you might want. It might be technology that tends to be the default. And so when you look at this, you're going to then explore, and there's 3 rings. I'm going to go back up a slide. So there's 3 rings. You're going to do your first, second, and third order implications. The first order is a direct result of the novelty that you're exploring. So the direct result of the future of workplace, one consequence that might happen for each of these different areas. So the future of workplace that you explored before, you're pulling from that and saying, a direct result of this in this area is going to be this. How is this going to impact the future if this change happens? And then the second is, the second ring is an observed shift. It might be more about a subtle impact. And then the third is to note them, and the circle of the third ring is a non-obvious, more peripheral implication. So things that are going to impact you. Here's just another example. We were exploring climate migration in the class across all of the tools for the 5 classes, and we chose 20 or 10 years into the future of 2033. And I don't know if I can zoom in. Let's see. Yeah, I can. Hopefully you're seeing us zoom in. So we said, what if in 10 years, half of the world's population doesn't have a permanent home? That could very easily be translated into the future of workplace due to constant climate crisis. So climate migration, no one's living at a permanent residence. What does that mean? What does that mean for work? It means migratory work is not just for farmers anymore, but it can be applied across the board. What does it mean for business? Travel insurance, skyrockets, rent changes. So what this allows us to do is to say the future that you started to explore in the previous tool, if that comes into play, how does it impact these other categories that we're looking at? And then you can summarize over here in the world building and crisis and artifacts. So what that might mean. So that's just an example. We did another one on global citizenship and what that might mean if people became global citizens. So we're exploring 2 in this exercise. So we're going to go back to our breakout rooms for another 10 minutes. And then with that, you're going to go into the page, build with your team's previous work, go into your Miro board, and then we'll reconvene in 10 minutes to have any share outs and Q&A. Yes, as a reminder, you need to join the breakout room that you were previously assigned to. So, excuse me? Okay, yeah. Great, looks like everyone's leaving and joining, fantastic.
anybody there? I'm not getting an option to go to another room.
Yeah, Bethany, are you able to potentially assign Catherine?
This is Catherine, sorry.
What room were you in, Catherine? Do you remember?
I think it was 9.
Okay.
I'm in 9 as well, and I'm here. So
Who was that, Alessandra?
yeah.
Okay, I'll shoot you 2 over there. Hold tight.
Okay, thanks. So sorry.
I also need to be added. I believe I was an 8. This is Carolyn Beiersdorf.
Okay.
Also me, Chitra Mathai, room 2.
Room 2. Okay.
And Jennifer Dumanil, room 10.
Jennifer, I got you.
Thank you.
Anybody else need a room that you can't get
Yes.
to?
Kathy Ann Ketzel, room 7.
Okay. Got it.
I love seeing all the Post-it notes everywhere. They really filled up their board in the cat's cradle.
Is there anyone left in the main session that still needs hopped over to a breakout group? Just holler if you need help.
Took a photo of the groups. So I'm trying to like assign the people that are still left from the photos I took.
Good idea, Tori. After I closed it, they all still look like they were still in the rooms, but I couldn't tell if they were the same or not. So I just cleared them to be safe.
I'm sorry, I stepped away to heat up my lunch. I don't know where I was previously. It just loaded on its own.
Okay, you, Rita. I forget.
I know I'm behind the 8 ball today. I'm in the middle of like 3 deadlines. I apologize.
Good. You were in 7.
Dysfunction junction. What's your function? Yeah, that's me today.
All right. Everyone should be there now.
Perfect.
Yeah.
I hope everyone's enjoying it. It's so hard to read, without getting any immediate feedback. I'm so used to being in the classroom where I can like see people's expression and get questions, and it's harder in this scenario.
I was texting Chris, and Chris said his group is going really well.
Awesome. I love too that because we're doing it interactively and people are randomly assigned, that people are coming, the groups are being formed by people that live in all different city centers.
Yes.
I know, that's what I love about the chapter events. Like you get to talk to people you wouldn't normally see.
And in this type of exercise, you mentioned Chris living in Kentucky is going to have a different perspective than if Bethany was in the room coming from Cleveland, and different types of expertise or background are going to give different perspectives. And that's why it's so important to do these types of tools in a collaborative way, and engage clients and make sure that everyone at the table is coming from diverse backgrounds, and that, everyone is represented at the table. Maybe I should reiterate that too, or just make that comment in the summary.
I was to say, it's been a couple of Friday forums since we've gotten to do breakouts like this. So I think it's great that was able to be a feature of this one for exactly those reasons.
Thanks, Megan.
Yeah. There's Noah. Noah, say
hi. Hi.
Hi.
He's getting so big. He's like a kid.
I know. It happens so fast. They go from itty bitty to like full-blown toddlers.
Wow.
So hence I was attempting to make a toddler lunch while we were doing this. So I was like, I cannot participate in a breakout group, but I wanted to see how it was going. So
that's okay. I had to like let my puppy out in the 10-minute in between too. So I get it. And I'm like, I have to go out. I don't know. You're destroying my kitchen rug. I thought that the bone that I gave you was supposed to last like 2 hours, and it's been 30 minutes. And I get it.
Okay. As soon as everyone pops back over, I'll snag their names for the drawing. What time, how much time do you need left, Rebecca?
Well, the last bit is really just wrap up. Like I was hoping that
Okay.
some people might be interested in sharing out some of the things that they were exploring. I mean, we had 12 groups, so it'd be great if like, you know, four groups, 4 or 5 groups, people just said like really quickly 1 minute of what they were thinking.
Sure. Because I'm thinking for time's sake, I did not catch what time we released them on this one, but I feel like we're getting close.
Yeah, maybe like 1 minute left.
I'll give them a warning and then I'll bring them back over.
1 or 2 minutes, something like that. So really I mean, we have 10 minutes left in the hour, or 11 minutes left in the hour, so we could give them a minute or two.
Yep.
To wrap up.
Yeah,
Okay.
just hold a few minutes for the giveaway at the end.
Right.
Which I didn't advertise enough at the beginning, but hopefully people saw my message.
Yeah, maybe once we hop back over, we add one more. Hang tight for the
Yeah.
QR code for the IDCEC and the giveaway.
I'm seeing a lot of Post-its getting populated right now. So maybe, did you just give them a 1 minute warning?
I did, yeah. So
yeah, you can see everyone's like frantically putting their Post-its.
I'm sure this is difficult to talk about in 10 minutes.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Oh, someone brought in the how it works image. That's a really good idea. They must have gone back to a slide and brought that in. That's good.
All right, I just closed it. They have 60 seconds to wrap up and come over. And then Tori, do you want the winners of the books to like add their email address into the chat so you can contact them?
Do we have access to all their contact information if I just write down their name?
In theory, we should if they've registered.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, you would have their emails from registration.
You know, whether it's windmills or solar panels technology that they're developing, I believe in Scotland. They're using a lot of wave. So they're harnessing energy from waves and the ocean. So there's a whole bunch of new renewable sources of energy that are being used.
All right, welcome back. I think we have everyone, or everyone should be back into the main room. We're just going to take a few minutes to share out. Before we wrap up, we want to make sure we leave a few minutes at the end so that you can scan that QR code and get your credit, as well as stick around for the giveaway. So maybe if just a couple of teams, 2-3 teams, want to just take a minute and share out what they were exploring and any insights or big ideas that they were doing, please just go right ahead and chime in. The awkward silence as we wait for people to vocalize.
Okay, I'll speak up. Our room 10
Hi,
was
Rita.
we were exploring the idea of the workplace, the people within the workplace needing to work till age 75 as opposed to 65, and what the impact might be, because it's going up and it's likely to happen that it goes up further. So what does that mean to our workplace and the employees within the workplace, and the cost of the business and all that kind of stuff?
Really interesting topic, especially aging population as people are aging longer and living longer, how that's going to impact workplace and multi-generational workplace scenarios.
Yep.
Any other insights from the second exercise that came about from that?
We didn't really come up with any solutions. We just started identifying some of the things that we thought were going to be challenging.
Oh, great. What was one main challenge?
Again, cost of the business for education to be well into those that next decade, and or the cost implication to keep people well. As you get older, you cost more money, basically.
Insurance costs and everything associated. Fantastic. Does one other group want to share out?
I can say for group 6, we just kind of explored everything being more automated, and therefore having less human interaction, whether that be in like retail or transportation and other places of like business. And so you will end up kind of like craving that and like seeking it out and like maybe your like workplace. And it kind of becomes your social hub if like your everyday occurrences become more isolated.
Fascinating, especially as automation in the workplace, but also if automation is happening inside your residence in your personal home, how does that maybe relieve time for other social activities, or even relieve time for you to work more or be more productive? So there's this back and forth of automation both in the home and the workplace that might change things. Thanks, Tyler. Any big implication that might have that you thought of?
I don't think we made it that far.
Okay. Thanks for sharing. I appreciate it. I think what's fascinating about this is we were talking a little bit while you all were in your breakout room, that it's wonderful for us in a Friday forum to be able to have people from all across the chapter who have very different lived experiences, from Louisville to Cleveland and Akron, to bring that to the table. And that's just a good reminder that when we are in that empathize phase and we use these tools, that when you're creating the participants of these tools, that you bring people from diverse backgrounds, different lived experiences and perspectives to the table, because it helps us expand our mind. I hope that today has been encouraging and inspirational, and at least challenge your design process and how you might consider futuring as part of that design process in the future. And I know that we were only able to skim the surface, but if anyone has any further questions, my information is on the page. Feel free to email me or look me up on Instagram, or reach out. Or if you have a workshop that you'd like for me to come and participate with, I would be happy to share these tools with you or your clients at any time in the future. I'm going to kick things back to Bethany and let them wrap things up. So thank you all for coming and sharing your lunch with me on this Friday forum.
Thank you, Rebecca. That was great. So as mentioned, this course was 1 IDCEC credit. So if you need those credits, open your app and scan that QR code on the screen now. And my email is also at the bottom here. So if you have any issues with this, feel free to shoot me an email and I'll get you added to the attendance list. And then as we wrap up, we are giving away 4 books around the design future topic. Rebekah recommended a book for us to raffle off. So we'll put all your names in. Once you have a little bit more time with the QR code, we'll do the giveaway.